Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Nancy and we are the Perrin family. Today I am giving another update on my weight loss journey. I usually do these once a month. We are now in month 7. I started my weight loss journey at the end of January of 2024 after having gained roughly 30 pounds. In the last few years and maintaining at that weight. I was dissatisfied. I wanted to lose the weight, obviously, and I also wanted to feel better. I wanted to feel better about how I looked in the mirror, how I felt in my clothes. I wanted to feel better health-wise, and so I began a journey, and it started out with doing OMAD, which is eating one meal a day. Well, technically it started out with intermittent fasting, okay, for a couple weeks until I worked up to OMAD. But that was the goal, was doing OMAD. Then I got some news that my iron was still low, that my iron was low and continued to be low for a few months. And so I stopped doing OMAD on a daily basis and just started doing OMAD like on Mondays and sometimes one other day during the week to help my weight loss and to boost my energy, because I see that doing OMAD actually boosts my energy. But with my iron had been still low, and the iron stores had still been low, and so I decided to only do OMAD once or twice a week, and the rest of the week do low carb. And so what I am currently doing is just that, low carb throughout the week. Now I will say that on the weekends I tend to eat a little bit more carbs than what I do during the week, and that is something that for month 8 I want to work on, because I do feel like it's holding me back from my full potential. I do feel like it's holding me back from my full potential. Sometimes I see that perhaps I'm having more cravings and things like that when I'm eating more carbs. And so if you're having trouble eating, if you're having trouble, getting in enough calories, eat a little bit of carbs. It might make you hungry. I know that it does me. I'm still drinking my coffee. I'm normally not drinking coffee at 9:30 in the morning, but I don't know what's wrong with me this morning. I'm just having a lazy day, I guess. And that's okay. That's okay. Lately, my sleep has been a little bit messed up, and I don't think really that it has anything to do with my eating habits. It could. I don't think that it does, because I feel better eating this way. And, it may be waking me up earlier in the morning, and I'm just not used to it yet. I don't know. Or it could be just that I'm getting older, or lots of, we've been doing a lot of things lately. So it could be stress, it could be just a lot of things going on in my mind. Maybe my brain is just having a hard time shutting down and actually going to sleep. And then, I'll wake up thinking about everything that needs to be done. So we've got a lot going on in our lives right now. So that is possibly what's going on with me, and I'll be able to share more about what is up with us later on. But today it's all about weight loss and wellness and health. And so, anyways, yeah, I I am feeling better. I am looking better. When I look in the mirror, I see that my body is changing, my body is transforming. And hey, Denise, thank you so much for being here. Happy Tuesday. And so, yeah, I am definitely feeling better. I'm definitely, I feel like I look better. I'm starting to get a neck now, For a little while, I was just all double chin, and still, I'm kind of leaning over right now. So, but when I stand up straight, I have a neck. Every little movement counts, right? Anyways, so let's talk exercise, and then we'll get into the actual weight loss part. So y'all know that I love to walk. that's been a huge part of my journey, and I really wasn't ready to do anything else in the beginning of this weight loss journey. I knew that I could walk. I knew that I could do that. I'm not really some big exercise person. That's how I got to be over 200 pounds, okay? Um, that's how I got to be a big girl, because I'm not an exercise person. And I recognize that. That, along with emotional eating, that's how we got here. So, yeah, I started out doing something familiar, doing something that I knew I could handle, and working my way up. And so, because it's all about grace, if you really want to have a successful weight loss journey, I encourage you to meditate on grace. I encourage you to give grace to yourself and not be so hard on yourself, because for those of us who can be controlling at times, we mess ourselves up. We mess ourselves up. So yeah, I started with walking, just whatever I could do, which back in January, February, and March, that was walking about a mile a day to, I guess in March, then I had worked my way up to between 2 and 4 miles. Whenever I did walk, it wasn't every single day. It was like 3 to 4 times a week, I believe, back then. And then in April, I had the stroke. In the middle of April, I had a stroke. For those of you who are just tuning in or don't know, and that set me back a little bit. I wasn't able to walk. Once I went back to the walking trail, I wasn't able to walk what I had walked before. I was walking, 2 to 4 miles in March, and then all of a sudden in April, I could barely walk to my driveway without being tired. So, and it's not a long driveway. We live downtown. So, anyways, I had to take baby steps, literally, to get back started. And here we are in the end of August, and I am back to walking 2 miles each time that I go walking. Sometimes a little bit more, and on Mondays a little bit less. But on Tuesdays through Saturdays, I am walking at least 2 miles, if not more, sometimes 2.5. And so I'm proud of that. I am so proud of that. I'm proud that, and it's crazy because up until the last 3 weeks, or 4 weeks now, up until the last 4 weeks, I still, when I got tired, my left leg wouldn't work. It was like I was dragging my left leg. And, the left side of my body is still lacking strength, okay? And so even though I consider that I'm healed, I consider that, yes, God is good. Look at him. And I consider that, I'm getting my strength back. This left arm and left leg still has a little ways to go in catching up. And I talked to one of my sisters this past week. She went through a similar situation, and she said the left side, I believe it's the left side of her body as well, is still not as strong as the right side. And she said, almost everybody has a weak side and a strong side. But for us, having been through that, it may be more prominent in us. And, I appreciate those words, but at the same time, I'm thinking in the back of my head, but God can do it. I challenge that, okay? I challenge that statement. God can do it, right? Because we serve a big God. But, yeah. So I'm back to walking at least 2 miles on average each time that I go walking. And now, instead of being 3 or 4 times a week, now it's more like 4 to 5 times a week. So, and, now the kids are bigger though too. And so now I can leave them at times when they don't want to go with me. It's not like pulling teeth to go walking anymore. And so, shout out to all the moms who your kids are little and you're having to wrestle with that. You're having to wrestle with the things that you need to do for your health. Big shout out to you. It is tough during those years. It is tough to be able to, do the things that we need to do. Definitely try to find a friend or a neighbor that you trust and swap days with them if you can. And it's something that I wish that I would have done, and I'm not trying to have regrets or anything, but that's kind of something I wish I would have taken more seriously in the last few years is my health, and gotten somebody to watch my kids if they didn't want to go walking, if they couldn't do it or didn't want to do it, if they wanted to stay in bed while I went walking. That's something that I wish that I would have done, is trusted someone to watch them and let me go ahead and do my thing, even if I had to go back and watch that person's kids later. Um, I think it would have been worth it, but it's okay. Here we are, and I've learned from that. And we can't go back and fix things. We can't go back and do things over, but what we can do is do better going forward. And so that is what I'm doing now. If there's something that I need to do for myself and it's going to take longer than 20, 30, 40 minutes, then I tell my husband. Thankfully my husband is his own boss, and so he does have like it's a construction and remodeling company, and so it's just family, though. Pretty much it's family and people that we know really, really well that works with him. And God set it up that way. God set it up that way, and we don't fight against it. I know they say not to do business with friends, not to do business with relatives, but this is, that's how God set it up, and so that's how it is. And I can leave my kids with him, is my point. I can leave my kids with him, even though he's still working. They're big enough that they can be out there working too. They can be picking up garbage. They can be whatever. While they're with him, he can teach them something, right? And because we homeschool our kids, they don't go to public schools. If you're listening and thinking, well, why aren't your kids in school while you're doing that? We homeschool. And so, yeah. And whenever it's going to be longer than 30, 40 minutes, if it's something that I really believe that I need to do for myself, now I talk to him, a few days in advance, and I say, on this day, I'm planning to do such and such, and with your permission, I'd like to leave the kids with you while I do this. And if not, then, tell me what I need to do. Do I need to wait about doing this, or because I'm a submissive wife? Okay. Most of the time. So I ask, is this something that I need to do right now? Do we need to wait, next week, whatever? And do I need to talk to my sister, whatever? And yeah, I don't know why I said whatever like 3 times. I'm sorry. I hate it when people do that, and I just did it. Okay. So still walking, but walking more often. And also I have added dumbbells to my exercise routine. Yeah, I'm doing dumbbells. That's a big deal for me because I'm not an exercise person, and I've said that many, many times throughout this journey. I've said that I'm not an exercise person. I used to hate on people that that were exercise people because, and I've been real and raw and honest about that. But now I can actually sit through other people's workout videos, and I'm inspired, I'm encouraged, I'm motivated, and rather than being like, "Oh, I wish I could do that," or "Look at her, she's so skinny. Look at her, she's so fit and trim." Now it's like, it helps me now, and I know that that's the whole point of you sharing your exercise videos is to help somebody, even if it's just one. And I know that you get a lot of hate, enough negativity, without anybody else chiming in. So, and I never used to comment or do anything. I don't do that. I don't comment on YouTube and tell people, "Oh, I wish I could do that." No. It was just this bothersome thought that I had, intrusive thoughts, and why? It came from a lack of self-esteem. a lack of self-esteem, a lack of self-worth, because I was unhappy. I was unhappy with my looks. I was unhappy with how I felt, and I knew that I should be able to do something about it, but I felt like I couldn't. But you're never going to be able to do something about it until you try. So there's that. You're never going to be able to do something about it until you actually try, and it is hard. It is hard. It is easy to get yourself up to over 200 pounds. It is easy to get yourself to be, you know, a big girl or a fat person. Let's just go ahead and say it. It's it's easy to be fat. It's easy to overeat. To overindulge. It's easy to lack that control, that self-control that we need to have when we know that we're too emotional to have any ice cream. When we know that we are too emotional to trust ourselves with anything that is not super duper healthy. We need to put the work in, though. In order to get there, we're going to have to put the work in. So yeah, certain amount of grace, certain amount of tough love. Know your weaknesses, know your strengths. So my weaknesses, obviously, not wanting to exercise, not thinking that I can exercise, not knowing how to exercise. Yeah, those are my weaknesses. The sugar was once my weakness. Thank God, after doing several months of low carb now, sugar is not too much of a weakness anymore. I still have a little bit of a struggle now and again. Once a month when that time comes, sometimes I want to get some sugar, but I know better than to overindulge now. I know better. Let me get a drink of coffee. And by the way, now my coffee is just coffee and heavy cream. No sugar, no Splenda, no stevia, no nothing. And that was a big deal for me in the beginning. But it tastes sweet now. And if I'm craving a little something extra, then I put some butter in my coffee. It's actually good. It's actually really good. It tastes kind of, it tastes really good. I don't know. I can't explain it to you. But if you're looking for a little extra pizzazz in your coffee, put some butter in there. When you're first starting off on a weight loss journey, when you're coming from eating just garbage, you're looking for ways to make it not suck as much. You're looking for ways to help you along the journey because you know that it's hard. And so, yeah, now I can tell you some of those tips because I'm that person. I'm that person that, you know, looks at quote unquote diet food and I'm like, ew. All right. And that's another thing. There's a lot of Denise knows what I'm talking about. Thank you. There's a lot of quote unquote diet foods out there that are so bad for you. And, you know, it's a process to get off of them for sure. I can say that when I first started the low carb, I did add some of those like diet brownies and diet whatever to make it through those tough days when I first got started. But as soon as I could cut them out, I cut them out because they taste like crap anyway. They taste like cardboard. There's nothing that compares to the taste of sugar, okay? It's I can't say what it is for us that's addicted to us here on YouTube, but it's an addiction. It's equivalent to that of a D word. So, yeah, it is equivalent to that of like CC, you know. So yeah. Anyways, so doing the dumbbells, I can see more definition in my arms. They don't wiggle as much as what they used to. They don't wiggle as much as what they used to. This one still wiggles a lot. This still has a lot of flap. This one does not. And so I am proud of that. I've been using the dumbbells now for 4 weeks, I guess. Yeah, 4 weeks. When I started feeling better from having the stroke because I couldn't pick it up with my left hand. I'm not even joking. I couldn't pick it up with my left hand prior to that. And I'm only doing 8-pound dumbbells. It's not like I'm doing, you know, some heavy weights or anything. But Start with what you have. I just happened to have an 8-pound dumbbell that I had tried to work with many years ago and left it, I left it sitting in front of my TV in my bedroom. Don't judge me. Um, and I didn't use it for years. I had tried for a little while, and then I don't know how it ended up there, but it did. And I went to revisit it and started playing around with it. And at first, my technique was all wrong. My form was all wrong, and I got to watching some YouTube videos and trying to figure out how to do it the right way, because I knew that I probably wasn't doing it right, because I'm not an exercise person, and nobody is until they get started. So what are you waiting for? Thank you. Yes, 8 pounds is pretty good to start with. After I started doing it, I realized that a lot of people actually start with just 3 or 5 pounds. And so, you know, start with what you have. They say that even starting with a couple of water bottles is better than, and it is, it's better than not doing anything. It's better than not doing anything. If you can do 2 pounds for, some time, then, and, when I say that I started working out with them, okay, my workout, my workout in the beginning, recovering from a stroke, okay, I wasn't able to do it for very long at all. And I'm still not. I'm still not able to do it for, 30 minutes or an hour or whatever y'all are doing. And that's okay. I don't care what anybody else is doing. That's my point. I don't care. I used to care too much about what everybody else was doing, and that limited me from doing what I needed to do to be okay. I don't care what anybody else is doing anymore. Please continue to share your journey. Please continue to share your exercise videos and your weight loss videos and all that, because if you can help just one person to be motivated and to be strong in who they are, to get started, and share your weaknesses, share what led up to you getting to where you are today, because you always didn't look like that. You always didn't do this. And I think that is the problem for me. I was watching the wrong people. I was watching the people that had forgotten where they came from. And then every once in a while in an interview, they'll throw in there, oh yeah, I used to struggle with weight loss. And I'm sorry, forgive me for saying this, but some people think that they've struggled with weight loss, and the biggest that they've ever been is like 150 pounds. I'm sorry, I don't want to hear that. I want to know somebody that looks like me, okay? And has gone from this to fit. I want to see somebody that is, 200, 250. I want to see somebody 300 pounds, 400 pounds. I love watching some, like the 600 pound transformation videos and all that. I love watching stuff like that and seeing that they got down to even 200 or even 300. Coming from 600 down to 300, you put some work in. Hello. And so that's what I want to see. I don't want to see, and I'm sorry, maybe that's helpful for somebody else, but it's not helpful for me. I'm not your target audience. If you have been 150 pounds and now you're 125 and that was your struggle, more power to you. That's great that you got healthier for yourself. If you are a, woman of short stature and you needed to get down to that weight for your health, hey, I applaud you, but I'm not your target audience, right? And so, and I'm 5'1". I'm 5'1", and I'm at 200 pounds right now. 200 pounds right now. So I've lost 26 pounds on this journey. 26 pounds in the last 7 months. Even with all of the curveballs that life threw at me, I kept going. I kept at it. Even if I, had to take a little break for about 3 weeks or whatever, and I went right back at it. And I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you. It does not matter what life throws at you. You can overcome this. You can overcome whatever life throws at you. You can beat this. You know, whether it is sickness, whether it is family problems, whether it is stress, whether it's a divorce, whether it's a wayward child that is, you know, on your last nerve, and you are trying to work with them and get their life straight. You can do this. Don't let other people's mess affect your wellness journey. Don't even let your own mess affect your wellness journey. You know, you may have to pause for a little while. Be okay with that. Be okay with taking a pause. Be okay with taking baby steps from time to time if that's all you can do, okay? Don't let it get to you, though, to the point that, okay, well, I had a stroke, so I'm going to give up. And I'm using that as an example because that was mine, okay? That was my curveball that was thrown at me. And I can't speak on your curveball because I don't know what it is. But I can talk about mine. When the whole process, you know, of having the stroke and getting over the stroke, there's still effects, you know, to my body. These muscles right here, they still don't work right. I can't sing anymore the way that I used to sing. I used to love to sing, you know, at church. I used to love to sing anywhere that I'm at and glorify God in that way, worship God in that way. And it's affected my voice. It's affected, you know, eating. And sometimes I can't swallow good. And that has nothing to do with my weight loss, though, because I can tell you I had my tonsils taken out when I was 14 years old. It was the week of Thanksgiving, and I ate like everybody else. I've always been an eater. I will make a way to eat, so that has nothing to do with my weight loss. That these muscles are weak because I can swallow on this side. This side wasn't affected by that. It was on the left side, but it has affected my speech. It has, you know, my voice. It has affected my voice. It has affected my singing and things like that. I can't sing the higher notes that I used to sing, and I'm still working on that. I play around with different notes and whatever because I'm going to get there one day. Before I came on this live, in order to talk to y'all, I was going la 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 la, you know, trying to get my voice awakened enough to be able to speak, you know. So yeah, whatever your hurdle is, whatever your stick in the mud is, you have to be the one. You have to be the one to get over it. I can't get over it for you. Nobody can. You have to be the one that makes the decision. In this journey, I had to be the one to make a decision that no matter, I am going to do this. I don't care what somebody says. You can come on here and call me fatty. You can come on here and tell me I'm not doing enough. You can tell me I'm not good enough. I'm never going to get there. And what is, 26 pounds in 7 months? Well, my best friend lost 60 pounds and said, I don't care. That's great. That's wonderful. I'm happy for them. But I didn't, okay? So, and it's okay. This can take a year or two if it needs to, but I'm going to keep going this time. And I don't know if losing my mother has pushed me into that. I don't know if I thought about that the other day. Wellness with Frugal Mama, thank you so much for being here. I lost my mother a couple years ago. She was a really, really bad diabetic. She died from complications of diabetes, not necessarily the diabetes itself, but from complications of the diabetes, infections related to diabetes. My dad had lung problems. He was also diabetic. My dad died from COPD, complications of COPD. Nobody dies from actual COPD, right? That's a rare occurrence. Most of the time it's from pneumonia. It's from, in his case, sepsis. From having pneumonia, he had mental health issues, and because of some past trauma that he never dealt with. When he went to the doctor with the pneumonia, the doctor passed him off and told him he was probably depressed and probably anxious, and you're a hypochondriac and whatever. And they put him in. I don't know why I'm sharing this right now. But yeah, I feel to go ahead and share this, so I'm going to do it. The doctor passed him off, told him to, sign into a mental health hospital. And so he did eventually get in one within a week or two after that. 2 weeks of being in the mental health hospital. He was in Houston, Mississippi. And we went to see him, and the nurse at the nurse's desk told me, "Oh, your dad is doing a little bit better. He's not as, what did she say? He's not as delirious. Delirious is the word that she used. He's not as delirious as what he was this morning." And I said, "He wasn't delirious 2 weeks ago when we brought him in here. What are you talking about?" And she started saying something, but she was just doing word salad, where they don't want to answer your questions. They're just saying whatever and hoping that you don't catch on, to cover their butts. She started doing that. And so I said, you know what, forget it. And I walked away, and it took every ounce of strength in me not to go behind that desk and give her the what for, I'll just say that. Because that was my dad, and he didn't have anything wrong with him. I didn't even see that he needed to be in the mental hospital at that time. And that's something that we had talked to his primary care doctor. He didn't need to be in a mental health hospital. You need to do some tests on him. You need to, and I'm tired, I'm so tired of people getting passed off by medical health professionals and being told you are depressed, you are anxious, you are this, you are that, because something is on your record, just because you've been through something. It is a normal response to trauma for you to be anxious. There's a time for everything. If you're anxious all the time, then that's not normal. If you're depressed all the time, that is not normal. If you just lost a loved one and you don't feel like getting up out of the bed, honey, that's normal. But you work through it. And that was something that irritated me so bad with him, was they let him lay up in that hospital. First of all, the primary health physician, she let him go to a mental health hospital in the first place. He shouldn't have been there. He had pneumonia. She did not check him for that. She did no x-ray. And this is a man, for more context, this is a man that had been diagnosed with COPD several years prior to this. And he was on oxygen. He had his little tank that he brought with him everywhere. Why do you not do a chest x-ray on someone like that? Just for precaution, even if they're depressed, even if you believe that they're anxious. Do a chest x-ray every single time, just to make sure. And he had insurance to do it. So she was going to get paid either way, right? It didn't have anything to do with that. She would have gotten paid more if she would have actually done what she was supposed to do. But because she saw depression, anxiety, whatever else was listed on his papers, that's what she did. She sent him to a mental health hospital, and he ended up dying, 4 months later because of that same infection. And I'm saying that as a testimony. I'm saying that as to help somebody. I'm not mad at her anymore. I'm not mad at that nurse anymore either for not calling us. I was, but God healed my heart from all that. Now I speak on it as a testimony and as, as awareness to help someone. Don't let anything stand in your way. When you know that you've got something going on in your body, you know that you're sick, please go and get somebody to do something about it. If the first doctor doesn't hear you, go to another one. If they don't hear you, go to another one. Keep fighting for your health. Keep fighting for your health in whatever capacity that you need to fight for your health. Whether that's eating right, whether that's exercising, whether that's saying affirmations to yourself, and speaking love over yourself, prophesying over yourself for those of us who are Christians. Oh, wow. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry that that happened to you. Okay. Maybe that's why I needed to share. I don't know. But he did have so many problems that, you know, a lot of his issues, I believe, a lot of his COPD issues and things like that, it linked back to obesity. Right? He was over 300 pounds, so he was a big guy, and he wasn't real tall or anything like that. He was 5'9", or 5'10", something like that. He wasn't 6 foot yet. He was almost, but not quite. So 5'9", 5'10", somewhere in that area. And at the time that he was diagnosed with COPD, it was mostly due to obesity. And he was a mechanic. He worked on diesel buses, and so on the school buses, actually. He worked on school buses here for the county, and he did that for many years. And he had his own mechanic shop, an alternator shop, and things before he started doing that. And it just didn't work out because of the amount of children that they had, to be honest. He wanted my mom to be his secretary. They had 6 kids. Daddy wouldn't get another secretary because he loved her too much. He didn't want to make trouble in their marriage. And he was always, you know, all about preventing problems and things like that. And that's something that I've taken into my marriage. And a lot of people don't understand things like that. But that is definitely something that me and my husband put into practice in our marriage, because his mother did the same and my parents did that. And so, yeah. But yeah, be your own activist. Definitely be your own activist, and take charge of your health. I guess, you know, having lost my parents at a young age, my dad was 63 when he passed. My mom was 67, I believe. She would have been 68 that year, I believe, that she passed away. Yeah. And so I was trying to do the math in my head. Yeah, she would have been 68 that year. She had just turned 67. So, yeah. They didn't deserve to die young like that, but because of, you know, looking at their age, but because of maybe diet choices and not taking charge of their health, not being more serious about activating for themselves and things like that, that probably contributed to their poor health, which ultimately led to their death. And so, excuse me, there's a lot of that in my family. And so I am a generational curse breaker. I'm a generational curse breaker in a lot of areas in our family and in my life personally. There's been abuse in my family, things like that, and that was the problem with my dad. He was abused as a child, and he watched his sisters being abused when he was a young boy, and that trauma followed him the rest of his life. And I went through some similar abuse, not at the hands of my parents, but I went through some similar abuse around the time that I became an adult. And I decided that even though I had to confront those same demons, we could say, that my daddy had to confront as a child and as a young adult, I wasn't going to handle it the same way. I was going to do things differently, because I recognized that God had a purpose for each and every one of his children. I had just accepted Christ when I went through the abuse and all that. I was a baby Christian, didn't understand it at the time. You know, if you love me, if I'm yours, then how did you allow this to happen? But at the same time, in the back of my head, in the back of my heart, I knew that I had to do something different. I had to break the generational curses, and I didn't even know that it was called a generational curse back then, okay? That's how baby Christian I was. I didn't understand what was going on, but I knew that I was the one that was going to make a difference, and I chose to make a difference with my life. And I have been doing that by sharing my story, by helping other women, and by treating my children differently than the way that I was treated. Because I came from a family where my dad was a preacher, but yet he didn't show it in his family. he preached one thing in the pulpit, and then in the house, all the demons came out, right? And that's something that I didn't want to do. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to be a hypocrite and talk to everybody else one way and then talk to my kids a different way. And he was never physically or sexually abusive to us, but emotionally, mentally, because of the trauma that was inside him that he never dealt with. And so, and why are we discussing mental health? Well, the Lord put in my heart to share that testimony about my dad. And mental health is part of your wellness. Mental health can be a stick in the mud for many of us. And so, whatever your hurdle is that you have to get over, if there is trauma in your life that is causing you to be an emotional eater, then you need to chop the head off. You need to chop the head off of that. And spirituality goes hand in hand with wellness. And although I'm not preaching over here on this channel, if you believe in God, then Jesus is your answer to, break those generational curses. Jesus is your answer to deal with those demons that you have to confront in your life. And you do have to confront them, and it takes strength. It takes strength to confront those demons. It's not something that happens overnight. You may have to sit down with a counselor. Try to find a Christian therapist. That helps. Even if it's even if they are still a mental health, facilitator, still someone who is strong in the faith, right? So that you can have a level of understanding in both aspects. Because it does go hand in hand. I had to sit down with somebody. I had to sit down for 2 years and confront the demons. And that's how I can come to you and speak on this, because I know what it is. I confronted the demons and I chopped the head off. It no longer has power over me. And I don't treat my children the way I was treated as a child. I show love to my children, and there's nothing that stands in my way from loving on my kids. There's nothing that stands in my way from being the mom that I'm supposed to be to my children. And so I want to encourage you that whatever your hurdle is, whether it is mental health, whether it is just being an emotional eater, which I believe goes back to mental health, okay? You're not going to be eating emotionally if you have control over your mental health and over your emotions. So, having said that, get that in check. Get some blood work done. See what's going on with, different vitamin deficiencies can make you feel a certain way, and so you want to get that in check. I recently did some more blood work just to check on my iron. My iron has improved greatly. My iron is super duper great for a woman of my age. So, and I say that because menstruating women tend to have lower hemoglobin levels than women who are not. And then also after menopause, which I'm not there yet, in my 30s, but menopausal women and postmenopausal women tend to have trouble with calcium and sometimes magnesium and potassium and things like that. And so definitely get a checkup, do a full metabolic panel, and just see where you're at. And that's just my advice to you as your fellow human being. I'm not a doctor or a healthcare professional that would be giving you advice. So take that with a grain of salt. But you are in charge of your health. You are in charge of your health. I am in charge of my health. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Be your own advocate. So 26 pounds lost in 7 months and going. Because I am continuing this journey. No matter what bumps come my way, no matter what struggles come my way, I'm going to keep doing my little dumbbell exercises and keep on increasing my time with those, keep on increasing repetitions and doing, different strategies to target different areas. And I'm working on that. I'm working on technique. At first, I wasn't worried about technique. And that's my advice to you as well. If you are also someone who has never exercised a day in your life, such as I, and you do not know how to do it, don't worry so much about your form and technique. Get over there and try to do something. You can research later about technique and the proper way of doing things. It is very intimidating at first. I do mine in the privacy of my own home. That way I don't have to deal with the stress of being intimidated by others or anything like that. I know there are a lot of gyms though that are very friendly to plus size women and very friendly to those who are inexperienced. And so if you are comfortable doing that, then absolutely get out there and do that. Get a physical trainer if you need to. Talk to your gymnasium and see if they have someone that can help you to do beginner exercises if that is what you need to do. For me, I'm more comfortable doing it in the privacy of my own home right now. One day I may get there. One day I may say, okay, it's time to go get somebody to really show me how to do this thing. That may be something that I do. I love watching Wellness with Frugal Mama. I love watching Denise. Y'all connect to them who are in the chat right now. Y'all connect to each other. I know you two are already connected to each other and support each other's channels. I love watching y'all's. Denise, you put out your plus size exercise routine videos. I love that. I love that you're encouraging other women to be themselves and to get out there and do something for their health. I love that Wellness with Frugal Mama doesn't sugarcoat it. She lets us know how hard that this journey has been for her. And she did come from a place of having to learn how to do all these things. So when I see Frugal Mama doing her exercises, I'm not intimidated by her in any way or anything like that. I can relate to her and appreciate her journey. I appreciate that she has come so far. I appreciate that she shows her before and after videos and she keeps in the forefront of her mind, where she came from. She's humble about it and she wants to share with other people to help us. And so I really appreciate that. Y'all check each other out. If you are just listening in the background, please check each other out. And thank you so much for watching this video. Sorry that I began to ramble, but I think some of that is necessary to share sometimes because there could be somebody listening, like Denise said that happened to her yesterday with, having to advocate for her own health and all that. So sometimes it's necessary to share our stories and share our experiences, testimonies of our families so that others can be encouraged and be motivated to take that authority back. Take that authority back over your own life because God did give us, God ordained authority over our lives and self-control. And so that is the journey that we're all on, is putting that self-control into use. Right? That's what health and wellness journeys are all about. Putting that self-control into use. And so thank you so much for joining. I hope that you enjoyed. I will probably do one more update next month in the 8th month, and then you won't see any updates from me until the 1 year mark, which will be in 5 months from now. Because my weight loss, it's hit a plateau. It's hit a plateau at this point. I've been pretty much the same weight for a couple of months now. That's not to say that it won't move, A lot of times you hit a plateau and then I've heard, I don't know. I don't know, because usually when I hit a plateau, I quit. That's been my past experience. And I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to keep going and I'm going to see this thing through. But I've heard that a lot of times you'll hit a plateau, stay about the same weight for several months, and then all of a sudden you'll have a big drop. I'm hoping that that's what happens, but I've got to put the work in to get there. Whether it happens or doesn't happen, I've got to put the work in to get to my goals. So I'm going to continue. I've increased my strength and my exercise capacity. So I'm going to continue to increase that, and I have added a little bit more calories, I guess. I'm not really 100% counting calories, but um, stay in about 30 grams of carbs per day. Now, I did admit that I do eat more than that on the weekends, and so um, I'm going to work on that. And this next month 8 will be about working on that and getting my carbs at about the same amount all week long, whether it's the weekend or not. And that's going to require more discipline on my part. And so, y'all pray for me. I'm praying for you too in your journey, um, because it is difficult. It's not easy. And a lot of times, once you get to a certain point, people look at you and they think that it's easy. It's not, y'all. It's not easy. It hasn't been easy to get to where I am right now. And so I know that the rest of the journey is not going to be easy. There's always going to be obstacles, but we're going to keep going. In Jesus' name, we're going to get there. So y'all have a great rest of the day, rest of the week, and I will see you again soon. Take care.